So classifying is going to be one part of it. The other part on this section is actually using polynomial functions, right? So what is a function? It's where you could plug in an input and pull out an output by doing the math. So right here they have a real-world situation. Actually, this is page 323 in your books. If you wanted to follow along in the books, you could open up to page 323. And what they have here is they give you a function v of t, and the v of t function refers to the volume of air in the lungs after a certain amount of time. Okay, so the v of t function is the function that gives you the volume of air in your lungs after a certain amount of time. So right here they want you to find out the volume of air. It says find the volume of air in your lungs after 2 seconds. So if they give you the function v of t, it's really easy to find the volume of air in your lungs after 2 seconds, because they're giving you 2 seconds, which is time, and t is time. So all you're doing is plugging in 2 for t. So right here it's not saying v times 2. This is actually function notation stating that you're going to plug in 2 and in place of t. So you're going to take your v of t function, here's your v of t function, and instead of t right there, t right there, and t right there, you're going to plug in 2 in place of t. Does that make sense? So instead of negative 0.037 t to the third, it's going to be negative 0.037 times 2 to the third. And of course you're going to do exponents first. And instead of this t, you're going to plug in a 2. Instead of this t, you're going to plug in a 2, as you can see right there. And of course you do all this math with your calculator, and it'll actually give you the volume of air inside the lungs after 2 seconds. Yay? Yeah. All right. So it's pretty easy. Plugging in values into the function that they give you. Now this is where it gets a little bit more fun. Example 3 on page 323. It says, find f of 3c minus 4 if f of x is x squared plus 2x minus 3. So ladies and gentlemen, what if this said, and not only that, it has a minus 5 times f of c. Now let's just focus in on this guy right here. What if it said f of 4 only? What if this wasn't a 3c minus 4? What if it said f of 4 only? What would you have to do? You'd have to plug in 4 right here and right here. So 4 squared is 16. 2 times 4 is 8. 16 plus 8 minus 3 to get an actual output, right? But it doesn't say f of 4. It says f of a binomial 3c minus 4. So what that means is that you're going to take the 3c minus 4 and you're going to plug it in to your x spots, right? So, and there's actually many parts to this problem, because this is the first thing you need to do, and then you're going to have to do this over here, and then you're going to have to subtract the first answer with the second answer. So this is a lot of algebra going on right here. It's Algebra 1 stuff, but it's a lot of Algebra 1 stuff going on right here. Okay, so let's first follow the book by saying, instead of f of x, let's put a 3c minus 4 right there. So you see these x's? They're in red right here. And what are they going to plug in place of the x's? The 3c minus 4 right in there in the place of the x's, and they show it right here. So f of 3c minus 4 is 3c minus 4 squared plus 2 times 3c minus 4. And this right here requires a lot of work. They're not even showing that work right here, because the 3c minus 4 squared, you're actually going to have to do it as 3c minus 4 times 3c minus 4. And you're going to have to distribute 3c times 3c. Oh, that's 9c squared. 3c times negative 4, that's negative 12c. Then negative 4 times 3c, that's another negative 12c. And negative 4 times negative 4, that's positive 16. And if you combine the negative 12c and the negative 12c, you will get that negative 24c that you see right there. Yay? So there's a lot of work they don't show right here, but if they do take the binomial and square it and then simplify it, they do get this quadratic trinomial right here. which is 9c squared minus 24c plus 16. Now, we still need to look at this other part. They're going to distribute 2 times 3 and 2 times negative 4. That's where they get the 6c minus 8. Then they bring down the minus 3c. There it is, minus 3c. Then after that, they just combine all the like terms, like the negative 24c with the positive 6c. That gives you a negative 18c. And then the 16 plus negative 8 plus negative 3, that gives you a positive 5. And that's your final answer, but that's just for this first part up here, the f of 3c minus 4. So you still need to calculate the 5 times f of c. So you have to do f of c, which means to replace your x's with c's and then multiply it by 5. Now the book obviously shows this down here. So they're telling you on this next part of work right here, they're going to calculate 5 times f of c. So replace x with c. So they take the x's and they put c's right there. And notice that they put parentheses around the whole thing and multiply it by 5. And this is what they get for the second part. That's what they get for this. This second answer is the answer to the second part. So now what we have to do is take this first part minus the second part and get our final answer. So when they do the first part minus the second part, they need to distribute those minus signs and then combine like terms and you get your final answer. So let's do an exercise in our notebooks. Down here at the bottom of page 323, it has guided practice. And let's all take a look at, copy this down in your notebook. Let's do g of 5a minus 2 plus 3g parentheses 2a. In other words, 3 times g of 2a. If g of x is x squared minus 5x plus 8. Let's do this one together. So the first thing to do would be to calculate g of parentheses 5a minus 2. So we're going to take the binomial. We're going to take the binomial 5a minus 2 and plug them in right into the x spots. So I would rewrite this thing, but instead of x squared, I want to go parentheses squared minus 5 times parentheses plus 8. Now, what am I going to plug in place of those parentheses? I want to plug in this binomial. What's the binomial? It's 5a minus 2. So you're going to go 5a minus 2 right there. 5a minus 2 right there. Okay, so let's get this clear, guys. We're going to do a whole lot of work here. We're going to do this first part, and then I'll worry about doing the second part. Maybe I shouldn't underline all that. Just the 3g of 2a. And then, at the very end, I will worry about adding the first answer with the second answer. So right now I'm working on the first part of this, underlined in red. So the first thing to do would be to take your binomial and square it. And the only way to do that would be to write it twice. 5a minus 2 times 5a minus 2. Okay, and you're going to have to distribute. 5a times 5a is 25a squared. That's ugly. That's really ugly. Okay, that's ugly, but you guys can see it. 25a squared. And then 5a times negative 2, that's negative 10a. And then negative 2 times 5a, that's another negative 10a. And then at the very end, negative 2 times negative 2 is positive 4. So let's combine the middle terms. You have a negative 10a and a negative 10a. That'll be a negative 20a. So you so far have 25a to the second minus 20a plus 4. Are you with me so far? Now, that's not even the first answer. All I've done so far is done the binomial squared. I still need to go over here and distribute this minus 5 into there. What do I get? Negative 25a. And then distribute the negative 5 into the negative 2. What do I get? Plus 10. And let's not forget about the plus 8 that's out there at the end. Let me bring that down. So I could actually combine the 10 and the 8 and get 18, right? So you have negative 25. Well, as a matter of fact, let's write it down here. Negative 25a, and then this is an 18, so plus 18. So now let's combine like terms, and we're going to combine the negative 20a with the negative 25a, and what do we get? Oh goodness. Gonna make this a little smaller here, and we're going to have 25a squared minus 45a, and at the very end, a positive 4 and a positive 18, that's plus 22, correct? Now this is our first answer, so let me do this. I want to circle this, and that's just this first part, okay? I still need to add, so I want to put a big plus sign right here just to remember that I want to add it to whatever I get over here. Okay? So obviously I need more space. Let me do this. Let me shrink this a bit and move it to the side for now. And let me focus in on this part right here. And I want to do my work in blue. So this looks confusing, 3g 2a. It's not 3g times 2a. It's actually g of 2a times 3. Okay, so that's the first thing to understand how to read it. This is really a 3 times g of 2a. So what we're going to do is plug in 2a into g. So instead of x's, we're going to have a 2a. So instead of x squared, I'll have parentheses squared minus 5 times x, 5 times parentheses, plus 8. And what am I plugging in those parentheses? 2a. So I put a 2a right here and a 2a over here. Okay, so working this out, I'm going to have a 2a times 2a. That becomes 4a squared. And then negative 5 times 2a is negative 10a. And then plus 8 comes down. Now, let's not forget about this 3 that's out here in the front, this 3 that's out here in the front. So I want to take this 3 out here. I want to put parentheses around this whole thing and bring down that 3. And now I'm going to distribute that 3. So distributing the 3, 3 times 4a squared, that's 12a squared. 3 times negative 10a, that's negative 30a. And 3 times 8, that's 24. Now notice I wrote it all down here. And I probably should have written it in parentheses, because at the end of it all, we have to add both. So we have the answer of the first one, which is, let me show you, here's the answer of the first one, plus the answer of the second one in blue right here. Now, if this would have been a minus sign in between them, this would be a minus sign, and you have to change all the signs. But it's a plus sign, which tells you that you don't even need the parentheses. You could just jump to combining like terms. So if I take a look at the polynomial, let's combine the terms that are alike. I want to start with the 25a squared combined with the 12a squared. What do I get? 37a squared. Okay. Now let's move on to the negative 45a combined with the negative 30a. And what do we get? 75. Negative 75a. And last but not least, the regular number 22 plus 24. What's 22 plus 24? Plus 46. Positive 46. Ladies and gentlemen, all of that work to get that answer, 37a squared minus 75a plus 46. Now, I'll tell you what, there's a lot of things in life that feel great. One of them is getting that answer, and then when you go to verify it, if it's right, that's awesome. If it's wrong, yeah, that sucks. But in this case, it's awesome.